Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to Grow Through Gita Thematic Studies, session number 29. So, week after week, we've been choosing various themes from Srimad Bhagavad Gita and discussing, making a deep dive into them, trying to understand them from different perspectives and see how we can actually apply them in our own life and reap immense amount of benefits. So today also we have one such very interesting theme, and it's all about surrender. So I'm sure that you are also equally eager, just like I am, to be sharing about this wonderful topic on surrender, why we should surrender, how we should surrender. Well, we'll get into all that. But meanwhile, let me see all the wonderful devotees who have already logged in and saying Hare Krishna here in the chat section. Anybody who hasn't already done that, please do so right away. Vasanti Neeta Raju is here. Hari Bol, I think I'm seeing you for the first time. So please wait until the end. I will leave my email ID. I would love for you to send me an email so we can touch base, and I also hope that you like the session. So welcome. Saraswati Mataji is here saying Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Yogita Mataji is here, Srividya ji is here, Raghavendra Kulkarni sir, Gita Kulkarni Mataji, Shruti Mataji, Shraddha Chaudhary ji, Shri Ram sir, Abhi Mataji, Tiago Prabhu, Saundarya is here. Saundarya, what a surprise. Welcome back. Vijay Rani Mataji is here, Satyamurti sir is here, and also Sharada Mataji saying Hare Krishna to everyone, Hari Bol. So let's go ahead and start with our invocation prayers like we do always. So what I'm going to do is quickly switch my screen in a way where you can see my slides. So that way you can also chant along with me. In fact, I highly recommend that you do so. So it's always wonderful to seek the blessings of the Lord before we begin anything. And this session is not an exception. Okay, so let me do that right away. All right. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. 3 times let us chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just one more time, dear devotees, all of us together, please join me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let us dedicate the 29th Grow Through Gita thematic study discussing about surrender unto the lotus feet of His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, my most beloved spiritual master, the founder Acharya, and he who has given us such amazing nectarian purports so you and I can read them and relish them. He sacrificed so much, surrendered unto his Guru's instruction and Supreme Lord Krishna. So praying unto him, seeking his blessings, begging his mercy as we go forward into this session. And meanwhile, let me see who else is here. Banuji is here, Leelavati ji is here, Asha ji is here, Chetan Prabhu is also here. Wonderful. So nice to have all of you here virtually joining us this evening. Thank you so much. So the shloka that we are going to discuss this evening is a very important shloka. And can anybody tell me in the chat section why is this particular shloka, that is the 66th shloka from 18th chapter, so important? So actually, let's go ahead and maybe first chant the shloka nicely. I request all of you to, wherever you are sitting, please try and sit straight with your back erect, not like a question mark. I usually tend to do that, hunch a little bit. But let's sit straight. As I remind you, I am doing that myself. And let us, if possible, with folded palms, with love and devotion, eyes fixed on the screen, let us chant this shloka very sincerely, loudly, with love, with devotion. So I will take you through it. Let's do word after word, line after line, 2 lines at a time, and then 4 lines at a time. Okay? So young, old, men, women, everybody, let's chant now. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyaha Mokshayishyami Ma Shuchaha. I hope so everybody is chanting. I'm sure you are. So let's do one line at a time, devotees. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Very nice. Let's try and do two lines now. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Complete shloka now, all of us together loudly. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Once again, maybe we will do it like two more times. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. It's an extremely important shloka, so let us chant one more time, dear devotees. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Let us get into the word-to-word meaning now. Sarva dharman, all varieties of religion. Parityajya, abandoning. Mam, unto me. Ekam, only. Sharanam, for surrender. Vraja, go. Aham, I. Tvam, you. Sarva, all. Papebhyaha, from sinful reactions. Mokshayishyami, will deliver. Ma, do not. Shuchaha, worry. Translation, kindly repeat after me. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Wow, what a powerful verse actually. Before I go any further into discussing about this shloka, my dear devotees, I would request you to put in the chat section what is the importance of this shloka. Why is this such a significant verse coming towards the end of Bhagavad Gita? So I see that a few answers have already come in. Sri Vidyaji is saying Krishna is the only one God. All right. But is that what is being indicated here? Maybe. Let's see. Sri Vidyaji is again saying, as all the dharmas, Vedas tell that just surrender to me. All right. Saraswati Mataji is saying it's the summary shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. So very important. Summary shloka of Bhagavad Gita? I am not really sure. I don't think Krishna is summarizing everything here. In fact, the summary happens in the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, which we talked about just recently, maybe 2 weeks ago or something like that, I believe. 10.8, 10.9, 10 and 11. So those four shlokas, Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, more summarize the Bhagavad Gita. So this shloka doesn't necessarily summarize, but it does something else. Okay, Mala Hariji, Hare Krishna, welcome to the session. Looks like this is your first session. I don't think I have seen you before, so welcome. Raghavendra Kulkarni sir is saying, do nothing, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Sharanam Mama. Your sins will be cleared and thus come to me. All right, that is more like paraphrasing the whole shloka. Chitraji, Hare Krishna, good to have you here. Chetan Prabhu is saying the essence of whole Bhagavad Gita is hidden in this shloka, starting from Atmajnana and ending with surrender. Awesome. Just what I was looking for. I don't know, maybe he just read my mind. He gave me exactly what I was looking for actually. Raseshwari Mataji, Hare Krishna. Saundarya is saying we can get rid of all sinful reactions and go back home, back to God. Right now, that's the meaning of it, but I'm asking like, why is it so important? Abhi Mataji is saying because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we must surrender unto Him and serve Him always. All right. So good answer, but especially Chetan Prabhu just gave exactly what I was looking for. So my dear devotees, if you were to take the essence, the most important conclusive truth of the entire 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, the entire dialogue between Krishna Arjuna Samvada, that essence of Bhagavad Gita. Now, what is the essence? The most important inference, the conclusion that you can take away. Let me say, what is the take home message? So, what should I do after hearing all this? Just like the essence of milk is ghee. Like just this morning, my mother was making some homemade ghee, and as we were observing, I was just contemplating, wow. So you have milk, and then you have yogurt, and from yogurt it turns into butter. You have to churn and get out the butter, and by churning the butter, then you get the ghee. So there is this whole process. Not churning the butter, by heating the butter and doing the other things, you get the ghee. So there is this whole process to get the essence out of the milk, which is the ghee, clarified butter. So similarly, if you were to take all the 700 verses and boil it down and do all kinds of processes, Atma Vimarshana, and if you could draw the essence out of it, it is this 18.66. And also, any good speaker or any good writer, there are certain techniques and tools they use in order to make their audience understand what exactly is the most important point. A good teacher will not leave their audience guessing as to what exactly is the most important. Are all the points that were shared equally important? Or are there some things that's more important than others? Or what is the most important thing? So a good writer or speaker will not leave their readers or listeners speculating as to what is the most important thing. They will make it very obvious. And how can they make it very easy and obvious for their participants to understand this? There are a few things they do. One is they tend to repeat it. So anytime something is repeated, we know it is rather important. And anything that's the most important, you tend to put it in the last. So why? Because even today, research proves that of all the things that your audience hears from you, the very last thing what you leave them with, that is what they are going to retain for a really long time to come. They may forget everything else, not that they will, they may, but the likelihood of them remembering what you say in the very last, that leaves a lasting impression on them. So Krishna, being the guru of all the gurus, in fact, everybody learns from him. So he also puts this essence of Bhagavad Gita towards the very last, the end of the end chapter, last chapter. The last section of the last chapter is where he, nails this. And it is such a power-packed sloka actually. So week after week we see, just like after last week's class, my brother was telling us like, wow, there is so much that we can, churn and unpack the layers of a verse and learn. And I couldn't agree with him more, because last week we talked about, the very last sloka, that was 18.78. And Krishna does this with almost every sloka actually. There is no end to how deep you can go. And especially here in this sloka, the 66th verse of 18th chapter, oh my God, it's like pregnant with meaning. It's so profound. So in the next an hour, 6 minutes that is at our disposal, Krishna Prabhupada willing, how much ever they bless us to, try and understand, what we will do is we will unpack the sloka and try and understand the hows and the whys and the whats. So I highly recommend that if you don't already have a notebook or something where you can type, please grab it now. Because there are going to be some points, even if you know so many other things, there may be a few points that you may find it useful for your future reference. So just jot it down. So you can also retain it better and also have it for your future reference. Satyamurthy sir is saying, just like butter is hidden in milk, the gist of Bhagavad Gita is here in the shloka. Exactly. Anandji, Hare Krishna. Welcome to the session, Anand Gaudaji. Leelavati Mataji is saying, God is great. When we surrender Him wholehearted, He will take care. It's absolutely true. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we must surrender unto Him and serve Him always. That was from Abhi Mataji, which I had read a while ago. So the first two lines of the shloka, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja, indicates what is our side of the deal. So basically in the shloka, Krishna is calling Arjuna to make a pact, to make a deal, if he so wishes to. There is no force actually. And in any deal, there is give and take. I give something, and as a result of that, I get something from the other party. So what are Krishna and Arjuna in this shloka meant to bring to the table to make this deal? Well, the Arjuna side of the deal, what Arjuna has to do, and Arjuna is representing all of us, the conditioned soul, so it equally applies to us. So there are two very important aspects of surrender. One is Atma Nivedanam, which means I am Krishna's. I surrender to Krishna, because in the first two lines, Krishna is calling for complete surrender exclusively only unto Him. He's saying Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Parityajya means to abandon, to give up. What to give up? Sarva Dharman. All your so-called dharmas. Give up everything. Well, but I have to do something. I can't just give up everything and do nothing. So Krishna says, so what should you do? Mam ekam sharanam praja. You surrender. Unto whom? Mam. That is Krishna. Okay, Krishna, can I surrender to you and also surrender to someone else or something else? Krishna says, no. Mam ekam. You surrender only to me. Now that's the, pretty big deal for all of us. If anywhere you were to go and say, well, are you ready to surrender? People will say, no. Why should I surrender? This I'm talking in terms of layman terms. If you just go to a group of people randomly and say, I want all of you to surrender. People will say, we don't want to surrender, because usually surrender has a negative connotation. Surrender means I lose my freedom. Maybe economic freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. People don't want to surrender. But here Krishna is telling you surrender to me, and he is telling you surrender only to me, and you are saying completely surrender to me. Now right at the beginning, somebody may have a shock. Because usually the moment we feel like we surrender to someone, usually the tendency is the other party is going to exploit us. They're going to use us for their advantage, in their favor. Like one country surrenders to another country, one kingdom surrenders to another kingdom, one person surrenders to another person, one company surrenders to another company. At whatever level it happens, usually the other party ends up exploiting them. So when Krishna says surrender unto me completely, so no doubt we will have some apprehensions. Is this also some kind of an exploitation deal? Well, what does Krishna bring to the table? He tells Arjuna, if you do this, that is surrender exclusively to me, then Krishna says, I will also do something to you. What is that? I take charge of you. What does it mean that Krishna takes charge of us? He is saying, Aham tvam sarva papebhyaha. I will eradicate sarva papebhyaha, all your sinful reactions. Now, why sinful reactions? Because that's exactly why we are suffering. Everybody is going through different types of sufferings to different degrees in this material world because of papa karma, the reactions to their papa karmas. And Krishna is making a promise in this deal saying that I will remove all your papebhyaha and mokshayishyami. I will liberate you. Ma shuchaha, do not worry. So we will see through this class how this is the best deal possible that is being offered to us. But it's also equally shocking how most of us have not signed this deal, although it is the best deal ever. Because logically thinking, if we were to objectively put this out there, when Krishna says you surrender your everything, what is my everything? Hardly anything. Except for my free will, there is absolutely nothing that I can claim is mine. So my everything is hardly anything. On the contrary, what is Krishna's everything? Krishna's everything is unlimited. He's the Supreme Lord. So when Krishna says, you give me your everything and I give you my everything by taking charge of you, now where can I find a better deal than this? Because usually in the material world, everybody is looking for opportunities where I don't want to give you my everything, but you give me your everything. Or maybe even if not your everything, at least give me more than what I have given you. This is a natural tendency we see, whether it's in marriages, or whether it is in business dealings, or whether it is in corporate relationships, any kind of relationship, any deals you see, this is the tendency. But here Krishna is making a counter offer where we can absolutely never match that. So it is obvious and it is very it is not at all surprising that we may be taken aback when Krishna makes an offering like this, because this is not what we are used to. We are used to only getting exploited in various relationships, where each one is trying to exploit the other. I don't want to give you what I should give, but you give me more than what I have given. But here when Krishna makes this deal, definitely we can be taken aback. But this promise is made by the Supreme Lord himself, and we have to understand that this is the best offer ever, and grab it right now at this very moment. So now why it all should be, have to surrender? Why can't we say, let me just go about my life? Why at all should I surrender? Well, we should surrender because it is our nature to surrender. Like even at this very moment, if you were to introspect, Everybody, you, me, everyone, each and every one of us, it is our nature to seek shelter, a place, a thing, a person, or an idea to whom I can give my heart to. It is natural. It is inherent within us. So in the quest for offering surrender or seeking shelter, we do that with maybe our spouses or with our children or with our parents. We give our heart to them, thinking that I will be there for them when they need me, and they will be there for me when I need them. Or what we could do is maybe we surrender to our country, Deshabhakti, patriotism, protecting our nation and trying to bring about justice and fairness in the society and all those things. Or maybe has surrendered and seek shelter in some philanthropic activity, which is a charity maybe. They feel for a cause. Or maybe it's a political ideology. Any country you go to, there are opposing political ideologies, and we tend to give our heart to one or the other. There are some hot political debates that engage on some dinner table conversations sometimes. Or maybe it's of some environment or animals, or and then we may even get to like our own body, we seek shelter, thinking that if I take care of my body nicely, my body is going to help me do a whole lot of things. So let me take care of my mental strength, my physical strength, take care for my body and mind and all that. So we may even seek shelter in our body and mind. So who can tell me what is wrong in seeking shelter and giving our heart to any of these things? Whether it is another person, or whether it is to our company, which is paying us, salary at the end of month for our maintenance, whether it is our country, whether it is our pet. Many people have dogs or cats or both and seek shelter and give their heart to their pets. Charity, political ideology, environment. What's wrong with this? If we give our heart and our passion and our surrender and seek shelter in any of these things, what's wrong with it? Like to see a few comments coming in the chat section. I just want to get a hang on what you think about this before I go forward with my explanation. So anybody, anything, what do you think? Okay, Shraddha ji is the first one to go because all of this is temporary. Excellent answer, love that. Shruti Mataji, what a wonderful answer. We just get pain in return. Speaking from realization, huh? Asha ji is saying all these shelters are temporary. Very good. Sharada Mataji is saying it's temporary and we cannot give our 100%. Excellent. Abhi Mataji also voicing the same thing, that they're all temporary, not eternal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pallavi Mataji is talking about bonding. Maybe she's referring to attachment and all that. Vinodji is saying everything is temporary, just for a period of time, but Krishna is eternal. He will never forget us. That's true. That's true. Sri Vidya Mataji, it is not going to take us to God. They have karmic effects. All right, like that angle. Banu Mataji, they are temporary and relative. Vinodji is saying Vinod Kumar is Soundarya's husband. All right, Vinodji, welcome to the session. Good to have you. Nice. Okay, Soundarya gave the answer. All right. Saraswati Mataji is saying all sources are fallible, only Krishna is infallible. So we must take shelter only at the lotus feet of Krishna. Okay, very good. Fallible and infallible. That's exactly where I was going to go with this. Raseshwari Mataji is saying nothing and nobody will come along when we leave this body. All are temporary. Well said. Yogita Mataji, because all the things are momentary and we will circle in Janma and Mrityu. Excellent answers actually. I'm quite impressed. Raghavendra sir is saying no guarantee. I like that. Shilpa ji is saying it is never ending process. We have to end by seeking shelter of Krishna. All right. All right. Okay. Avi Mataji, this is artificial love and no one is satisfied. But when we love Krishna, it is true love and Krishna reciprocates also. All right. Okay. Very nice. So let's talk about this a little bit. Why not seek shelter in any one of these things? Like somebody rightly pointed out, these are all what Bhagavatam calls them fallible soldiers. Now, when you have an army of soldiers, you have employed them so they can protect you at times of danger. So, who is a fallible soldier? A fallible soldier is a soldier when there is danger, he runs away. Then what's the point in having the soldier? You thought the soldier was going to guard you and protect you. And lo and behold, when there was some danger, some emergency, the soldier did not do what they were supposed to. So similarly, my dear friends, when we seek shelter in our own mind, how many people have mental breakdowns? Maybe even not if like a major breakdown, that may also happen, but how many times your mind lets you down? We feel sad. When you don't want to feel sad, you have so much to do and then your mind just feels sad. You're ridden with fears and anxiety. The mind is constantly agitated. So this is all our mind letting us down. It's not protecting us. It's destroying us. It's destroying our peace. What about our physical body? So much we take care of it, isn't it? In a day, so much of time goes, maybe 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and then the eating time, and the cooking time, and the showering time, and getting ready time, and dressing time, and whatnot. Of course, this is our vehicle and all that where the soul is traveling. We need to take care. But then, when we think that my body is my shelter and it's going to be there when I need it, not always. Taking care of it is good, keeping your vehicle in fine condition. But no matter what you do, the body is eventually going to get old. You cannot stop that. It does get sick at times. And at the time of death, no matter how great of a maintenance you did for the body, it's going to leave. So the mind cannot be, mind is a fallible soldier, body is a fallible soldier. What about other people? Same thing with other people also. Well, they are also conditioned like you. They are also in the same well like you. How many times people say, I will be there for you when you need me. And then when the time comes, well, because of circumstance or because of choice or whatever, they may not be there for you. And then we get all upset, like Shruti Mataji was saying, it leads to pain and frustration, thinking that I thought this person was going to be there for me. But they are not. And maybe you're thinking your company is your shelter. But when the market crashes, you're just a number on their payroll and it takes them less than 5 minutes to, give you your last notice and ask you to leave. If you don't meet their expectations even. And then country. How many times, countries' ideologies change, the political leaders change. They come up with some policies which are so absurd at times. So they can let you down too. So similarly, you go through anything, money, status, position, whatever, thinking that this is going to protect me, that is going to take care of me. Eventually, it leads to frustration because none of these are eternal, none of these are all-powerful where they can actually protect us. Forget about protecting us. Many a times, they can't even protect themselves. So my dear friends, in answering first of all, why should I surrender to Krishna? Why do I need to take shelter? Well, because intrinsically it is our nature to surrender to somebody. We all need to take shelter of somebody because we are dependent. We are not independent. The soul by nature is dependent being. It is Tatastha Shakti. It's a marginal energy. Either you surrender to Krishna or you surrender to Maya. There is no other way. There's no a middle path that you don't take shelter at all. Either you should move this way or that way. You can't be idle. So shelter we must take. But right now, most of us are reposing our shelter in actually Maya, that is Krishna's energy. I cannot even count on my, it's more than what I can count on my fingers, where people in the sessions that I have and all that, sometimes they say, it clearly shows that they're actually putting their hope in the money they have, or they're putting their hope in a certain person in their life, or they're putting their hope in the job they have, not knowing that eventually it's going to frustrate them. So that is why it is important to know where to take shelter. In fact, the intelligent question that somebody needs to ask is, which I've written down in my notes so I can read it for you. So an intelligent person should ask the question, where can I take shelter that is going to fulfill all my needs completely and forever? Where can I take shelter where all of my needs will be fulfilled completely forever? And whatever that need is. And actually, it is Krishna who repeatedly tells us in Bhagavad Gita that he is that shelter. Like right in the early parts of Bhagavad Gita, he told Arjuna, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Yoga and Kshema. One refers to what you already have, and the other refers to, what you don't have. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, Niryoga Kshema. Arjuna, you don't worry about whatever you do have already, about its preservation, and in getting that which you don't have. Niryoga Kshema. You don't worry about your Yoga Kshema. Then Arjuna may ask, well, but I have to take care of myself. Krishna says, you simply become situated in Atmavan. If you simply function at the level of engaging your soul in serving the Supreme Lord, Atmavan, self-situated, Krishna says you don't have to worry about Yogakshema. Then what will happen to my Yogakshema? Krishna says in 9th chapter, Yogakshemam vahamyaham. I will personally bring your yoga and kshema. I will preserve what you have and I will bring you what you lack. Now, who can say this? Basically, he's telling, I'm going to take care of all your needs. And not just for a short period of time, forever. Because this relationship between the Jiva and the Supreme Lord, the Atma and Paramatma, is an eternal relationship. So that is why, my dear friends, we have to, anytime we are frustrated, just ask one thing. Who did you repose your faith in? Who did you take shelter of? And you will see time and again, whenever you are let down, that you took a shelter of a fallible soldier. So this verse 18.66 is emphatically calling us to shift that and saying, take shelter of a Bhakta, of that Lord who is Bhakta Vatsala, who never lets go of their devotees, who never lets their devotees down, Achyuta, who is infallible. So instead of taking shelter of fallible soldiers, we need to take shelter of the infallible Lord, Achyuta, Krishna. So this is first aspect now. Why surrender to Krishna? First of all, why surrender? And why surrender to Krishna specifically? Because it's He and only He who can fulfill all our needs forever, completely. And now that we understood the why part of it, the next half becomes, okay, now I am convinced that yes, I need to surrender. I'm enough frustrated in making all these false propagandas and dealings with the people of the world and things of the world. And I've come to the realization, yes, I need to surrender to Krishna. Now, how do I go about surrendering to Krishna? So for this, let's talk about a story. So the story of the great king Bali Maharaj, who is the personification of Atmanivedanam. Because we are talking about the first two lines, isn't it, right now? Atmanivedanam. The first two lines is what should I do? What is my part of the deal here? To think I am Krishna's. So for this Atmanivedanam, the Acharya, the Mahajana is Bali Maharaj. So Bali was such a great king. He was the king of all the demons. And by the dint of having pleased his guru, that is the Shukracharya. So by the dint of having pleased his guru Shukracharya and also his own prowess, he had pretty much conquered the entire material world except for the heavenly planets. And look at his power, that when he actually invaded the heavenly planets, even before he could wage the war, the demigods just, eluded. They just left their place. They went into hiding. Imagine being so powerful that the moment you get the fight going and your enemies just run away. They're so scared of you that they don't even muster the courage to fight. And Bali Maharaj was one such great king. So now Maharaja Bali had all the planetary systems under his control, the three lokas in the material world. But Shukracharya advised him that Bali, getting something is no doubt hard, but keeping something, preserving something is even harder. How true that is, isn't it? We see that in this material world all the time. Starting a relationship is easy, but maintaining and growing a relationship is difficult. Finding a job is relatively easy, but consistently doing well at job, outperforming, and keep growing yourself professionally, that's even difficult. So building a house, that's a one-time thing, but the maintenance is an ongoing thing. Starting a family. So anything you take, starting requires passion, but maintenance is the most difficult, more difficult thing which needs sattva guna. So anyhow, Shukracharya told Bali Maharaj that, to keep control over these heavenly planetary systems, you better do one yajna. So while Bali Maharaj was performing this yajna, even before this, although the demigods went into the hiding, the mother of the demigods, who is Aditi, she was very unhappy with this situation where she could not even see her sons, the Adityas, the demigods. So she very ardently prayed unto Lord Vishnu. She did vratas and tapasya, and she requested Vishnu to do something about this. And then Lord Vishnu agrees to come as her son. And then he says that, then I will help my brothers, the demigods, to regain their kingdom. And that's how Vamanadev takes birth as the son of Mother Aditi and Kashyapa Muni. And he's a dwarf Brahmana, so wonderful. In fact, I will switch my screen and show you the PPT. So this is what we are talking about, Bali Maharaj. So we can see Vamanadev sitting here on the nice asana. So Vamanadev, getting to know that Bali Maharaj is performing this yajna, he is walking towards the place of sacrifice, where it is said that it was shining like as though a million more suns had arisen at once. And this Vamanadev comes very wonderfully received by Bali Maharaj, given a nice place to sit. And it is a proper etiquette for a Kshatriya to give something in charity to a Brahmana. And when Bali Maharaj told this Brahmana boy that please ask for anything that you may want, and the moment Vamanadev said that you please give just 3 steps of land of my measure, immediately Shukracharya stops him and says that, be careful. He is Lord Vishnu himself and he is going to trick you. And Bali Maharaj was quite perplexed by this. He said, what kind of a guru are you? You told me that I have to do yajna to please Lord Vishnu. And now you are saying Lord Vishnu himself has come, and now you're telling me to not, consent to his request. So he abandons his guru and he says, if everything I've gotten is from Vishnu, then what is wrong in giving it back to Vishnu if he wants to take it? So we see the surrender aspect of Bali Maharaj right at this point, but it goes even higher and deeper at this point. And the moment Maharaja Bali agreed to this, because he had pride, and Vamanadev wanted to smash that pride. And the pride was, Bali Maharaj says, oh Brahmana, you are such a tiny little boy. How much can your feet cover? Why don't you ask for something else? In fact, why don't you ask for that? Having gotten from me, you don't have to ask for anything from anybody else in the future. But Vamanadev said, as a Brahmana, my quality is to be satisfied with what I have. So I should not be greedy. You just give me what I have asked for. And then the moment Bali Maharaj agrees to this, Vamanadev becomes Trivikrama, Urukrama, and with just one feet he covers the entire universe, the space. With another one he covers the entire land. And then he mockingly asks Bali Maharaj that where should I keep my third one? If something like this happens to us, right, where we give, and then somebody complains, he's like, what kind of a person are you? I've already surrendered and given everything that belongs to me. And you're criticizing me? But of course, Bali Maharaj is not one of us. He's such a great devotee. He understood the point of the Lord, and then he said, my dear Lord, why don't you keep your third feet on my head? So this is how Bali Maharaj became the Acharya of Atmanivedanam, completely surrendering oneself. And of course, in reciprocation, most of you know the story, that Vamanadev was so pleased with the attitude and the surrender of Maharaja Bali that he agrees to become his doorkeeper in Sutalaloka. And gives him the benediction that after this lifetime, he will be the next Indra actually. So why surrender to Krishna? We already talked about that. Now this is Atmanivedanam exemplified by the great Maharaja Bali. Now what do the next two lines, that is the third and fourth line, indicate? That is Sharanagati. What does Krishna bring? This is the reciprocal relationship between the Jiva and Bhagavan. So Sharanagati means Krishna is mine. And Krishna is mine doesn't mean that Krishna should serve me and execute all my orders and arrange my life the way I want and give me what I want, when I want, how I want. It doesn't mean that. So Krishna is mine means Krishna has taken charge of me and my life, and he is my protector. So Atmanivedanam means I am Krishna's, that I offer my everything to Krishna. And Sharanagati means Krishna is mine. He gives his everything to me in the sense that he is going to take charge of me and he is going to protect me at all costs forever. And we have many examples of Sharanagati where Lord Krishna protected his dear devotees. Like Gajendra, when he got involved in this 1,000 years battle with this crocodile. And Gajendra called out to the Lord with this beautiful lotus flower in his trunk, chanting wonderful prayers. Lord Narayana himself came in Garuda Vahana and gave him mukti. So when his dear devotees are in suffering and take Sharanagati, Atmanivedanam, the Lord helps them, protects them. Or when in the case of Draupadi, we see her level of Atmanivedanam rising. Initially, she thought that it was her husband's, the Pancha Pandavas, that were going to protect her and give her shelter. Boy, was she frustrated. Then she thought, okay, my husbands are not able to help me. Maybe the acting king, Dhritarashtra, will help me. So the government, the administrative ruler, so she went there and reposed thinking that this person will give me protection, my shelter. Oh, she was again frustrated, disappointed. She went to Bhishma, she went to Drona. So nobody could give her protection. Then she thought when Dushyasana was pulling her sari, trying to strip her naked in this full assembly, she thought, let me take shelter of my own physical strength. So she caught on to her sari with both her hands. But what could she do? Dushyasana was far more stronger than her. And then when she knew that this was futile, although she put one hand up in the air, but with other hand, it was not complete surrender. She was still holding on to her sari. Krishna would not come. And then finally, she really understood the utter futility of all these attempts, that nobody and not even herself could protect her, when finally she raised both her hands and called out, Govinda! That's when Lord Krishna, when she had this Atmanivedanam, complete surrender, then immediate reciprocation from Krishna, where he appears and mystically provides her unlimited lengths of sari and protects her honor. So it's maybe time to reflect right after this class is over. To what extent have I surrendered to Krishna? Like, I mean, really surrendered. Surrender like Bali Maharaj. Surrender like what Draupadi did eventually. Or are we also going and reposing our faith in the money that we have, in the houses that we have, in the cars that we have, in the beauty that we possess, in the strength that we have, in the abilities we have, in the people that we are connected to, or maybe in our phone? Who are we surrendered to? What are we taking shelter of? Where do we turn to in times of distress? Are we really taking shelter of Krishna? The highlighted thing is really, not what it seems like, but do we really take shelter of Krishna? And yet another wonderful example, one of my most favorites, how Krishna comes in the form of half man, half lion, Narasimhadev, and protects this 5-year-old boy, Prahlada. He had to even jump out of the pillar and come in this most magnificent, ferocious form, never before seen form, but still he did it to protect. So Prahlada had done Atmanivedanam. He constantly chanted and surrendered unto the Lord. And the Lord also reciprocated Sharanagati. I am Krishna's and Krishna is mine. So I'm sure if we go through the pages of our scriptures, especially Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana, there are so many examples of Sharanagati where the Lord every single time protects his dear devotees, never lets them down. Okay, so let's get into some very, very practical aspects now. So how do we go about surrendering to Krishna? So in Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sharanagati, there's a book he's written, Sharanagati. There he talks about the 6 aspects of surrender. 6 aspects of surrender. So let's go through them one after another. So the very first aspect of Sharanagati, surrender, is to accept everything that is favorable for the service of the Lord. And people, even in the devotee circle, many a times, they accept or they do things that may not be favorable for the service of the Lord. You know, coming for major decisions like what do they do to earn their livelihood, the kind of job opportunities they take. They don't really see, is this really favorable for the service of Lord? Maybe when it comes to marriage, choosing a life partner, they may not really go by the aspect of, if I marry this person, is this conducive for the service of the Lord? Is it going to further my devotional progress? So accepting only that which is favorable for the service of the Lord. So in this regard, there are the 5 very important aspects aspects of bhakti that Srila Rupa Goswami mentions. He actually talks about 64 items. But of those 64 items, 5 aspects that he says are very, very important. So let's talk a little bit about each of these 5 elements actually. So the very first element he talks about is deity worship. It's not in the same order. One of the 5 actually. I should not say the very first. One of the 5 is deity worship. So we can demonstrate our practical surrender, that we are surrendered to Krishna, by deity worship. So when deity worship doesn't mean you simply, whatever you cook, you simply put it in the front of the Lord and then just take it like as though Krishna is a karma destroying machine. That we would have heard that, taking prasadam destroys our karma, and then we just put it in front of Krishna and just take it for that sake. Now that's not deity worship. Like having a nice altar and, nice altar, even if it's not too elaborate, depending on our means, whatever we have. Now having like a really nice clean altar, and every day we are offering water for the Lord, we are offering food, and doing whatever amount of seva that we can for the Lord. Like there was this wonderful Mataji who I was talking to once, and she was actually telling me how she trying to develop this personal relationship with her deities, where anytime she gets any amount of money, she literally offers the money in front of the Lord, to the deities in her home, to the Lord. And then she reads out her financial status to the Lord, and every evening she actually submits to the Lord in front of the deities, literally reads out loud like what all she has done that day in service of the Lord. So anything and everything. So there were so many things that she was saying, how she is trying to develop this relationship with the deity. So it's not just about offering arati, it's not just about offering bhoga, but deity worship is so wonderful to make us in a very physical sense realize that Krishna is the owner of this home. He is actually the maintainer, he is actually the protector, and everything in this household revolves around Krishna. And also deity worship at home brings regulation, because certain times puja arti has to happen, certain times offering has to happen, the cleaning has to happen, the house has to be clean, we have to take bath at a certain time. So pretty much everything kind of gets regulated and goes around, revolves around deity worship. So deity worship is extremely important to exhibit Sharanagati. And number 2, Rupa Goswami talks about holy place, residing in a holy place, going on pilgrimages. So when times are conducive, of course, going on pilgrimages, that also indicates Sharanagati. But in fact, when we do, just like we were talking about deity worship and doing other things like doing kirtan, having like a Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita study at home, constant Shravanam going on in the japa, through all these various angas of bhakti, our home itself can become a holy place. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to say that at the end of the day, after my work, when I go back home, I'm actually going back to Goloka. So holy place, even our own home can be turned into a holy place. And thanks to Prabhupada, that there are so many holy places in the form of ISKCON centers, ISKCON temples across the world. There's no dearth for them. And then number 3 is also talking about Bhagavatam study. So some of you are already part of our weekly Bhagavatam sessions. So actually every word, every letter is not different from Krishna, from Bhagavatam. So when we sit in Bhagavatam class, it's not a place where we sit and, take rest and go to sleep and try and get entertained. We have to hear so ardently, so sincerely, knowing that, every line, every word of Bhagavatam has the potency to give me Krishna Prema. It's filled with Krishna Prema, the nectar of love of Godhead. So studying Srimad Bhagavatam, third, another important aspect, and japa, right? Hare Krishna movement, obviously it is to chant Hare Krishna. That's one of the key aspects. So at the time of Diksha also, one of the most important things that we take a vow in front of Prabhupada is that we will chant minimum 16 rounds. Of course, that is minimum. Prabhupada used to always stress, do as much as possible and quality rounds. More than 16 is also very, very welcome, but minimum 16. So japa is another form of surrender. So people who say, oh, I believe in God, I have faith in God, I'm surrendered, but are they doing all these things? So these are the aspects of surrender. And Krishna, especially in Kali Yuga, he's come in the form of Namavatara. He's invested all his potencies in his name. And when we actually say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna is literally dancing on our tongue. So that means our tongue should be a pure place, a clean place where Krishna comes and dances. Like when there is Rasa Leela happening, or when other places where Krishna is dancing, it's not like he's going and dancing in a dirty place. He's all pure. He dances on our tongue when we are chanting his holy name. So my question, dear devotees, to all of you is, so how do we keep our tongue clean and make it a pure, nice, clean place for Krishna to come and dance? So how do we clean our tongue? So while you think about it and put it in the chat section, I'm going to catch up on a few comments here. Saraswati ji is saying, brilliant, convincing explanation, Mataji. We are blessed to hear this power-packed deep dive of this glorious shloka. Thank you, Saraswati Mataji. Sharada Mataji is saying, calling Krishna Deena Bandhu. Yes, very true. Saraswati ji is saying, Govind, he is simply great. Absolutely. Very nice. So please put it in the chat section. I am keeping my eyes glued to see your answers, to read your answers. How can we make our tongue a clean place where Krishna can come and dance in the form of holy name? Shruti Mataji is saying, by keeping our speech clean. What a wonderful answer. What else? How do we keep our tongue clean so Krishna can come and dance? Anybody else? What can we do? Ashuji is saying, always honor prasadam and follow the 3 qualities of speech. Wonderful. I don't know what 3 qualities of speech you are referring to, but honoring prasadam and keeping our speech clean, very important. Anybody else? What else? Habi Mataji, chanting holy name, eating only prasadam. Talk about, I think you meant Krishna. Okay. Good. Srividya ji, do not talk ill, lie, back talk. All right, very good. Austerity of speech, very true. So 2 main things that we can do to ensure that we have a clean, pure place, that is the tongue, is to be careful about our speech, follow the austerity of our speech, and then eat only Krishna Prasadam. Always glorify Krishna. Chaitan Prabhu is saying, purified tongue by taking Krishna Prasadam and speaking more and more on glories of Lord. Absolutely. Saundarya is saying, by speaking good and positive words. Well, that's okay, but we are more interested in going even beyond the so-called good and positive words. So we want to only talk about Krishna and Krishna Katha, about the great acharyas. So we want to keep Krishna conscious talk as our focus. Ashaji is saying speech must have hitam, satyam and priyam qualities. Yeah, actually there are 5 different qualities Krishna talks about in the 15th shloka of 17th chapter. In fact, I think we did a class on that as well. Good, Ashaji. Spiritual talented kids, so nicely, Mataji, you explain. I'm your fan. Oh, thank you for your kind words. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for coming live and joining us this evening. Okay. So these are the two things for japa related speech and prasadam. And then sadhu sangha. We also need nice devotee association who are also following this path of the process of Sharanagati. So each can, encourage each other and inspire each other, and all of us can ultimately surrender completely to the Lord. So the five aspects: deity worship, holy places, sadhu sangha, japa, and one more, what was I going to say? Srimad Bhagavatam study. Okay, so these are all favorable for executing surrender. And actually, anybody who is doing these five items nicely, we know that Sharanagati will also come about. Shraddha ji is saying, Mataji, as you mentioned, there are 6 aspects of surrender. So in order to surrender, should I be following all of them or following one of them is enough? No, all six are conducive. Spiritual talented kids, glorifying devotees. Thank you. Let's all glorify Prabhupada and Krishna. Raseshwari Mataji is saying, vibrate the Maha Mantra and taste only prasadam. But even for vibrating the mantra is why we ask that, the speech is also very important to keep the tongue clean. So the Maha Mantra, Krishna can dance on our tongue. So yeah, taste only prasadam. Okay. So having talked about these 5 favorable elements, now let's focus on the second aspect of practical surrender. Let me take you back to the PowerPoint. So exact opposite is give up everything that's unfavorable for the service of the Lord. So anybody's association that's holding you back, any of the qualities that you possess that is holding you back, we need to give those up. Anything that's not in line with the Bhaktashtakam slokas where Krishna is giving the wonderful devotee qualities in 12th chapter from slokas 13 to 20. In the Sthita Prajna section in chapter 2 from slokas 54 to 72. So if we are not developing these qualities, there are contrary qualities, opposite qualities, we need to get rid of them. So we need to give up everything unfavorable. And our constant thirst for puja, pratishtha, labha, that's also unfavorable for the service of the Lord. Puja means always wanting to be appreciated and honored and respected by other people. Pratishtha means status, distinction. Trying to always be, special and trying to stand out and trying to draw attention. Pratishtha. Just like when we are boarding the plane, right? First they will say all the business class people come and first class passengers come, and then the economy class passengers come. Why can't they just let everybody board? Why should they give that kind of a treatment? Pratishtha, that you are distinct, you are special, you are flying business class, so you get to board first. And so many other stores also, they will have some kind of a gold membership card, this card, that card, VIP thing. This is all pratishtha, that you are important, you are distinct. And the whole fashion industry is thriving on this pratishtha, the status, the brand names. And how much more weird and different can you look? Pratishtha. And labha, everybody has this exploitation mentality in the material world. They're saying labha, what is there in it for me from this person? Trying to exploit. So puja, pratishtha, labha, giving up these things also because they are also unfavorable for the service of the Lord. And greed. Greed, this whole material culture is pushing us towards more things, bigger things, different things. But in spite of possessing so many things, more, bigger, different, it doesn't satisfy us. But on the contrary, when we go for Krishna consciousness, it brings complete satisfaction and no satiation. We can keep on going for more and more in the spiritual realm. So these are some of the things that are unfavorable unfavorable for the service of the Lord, puja, pratishtha, labha, the greed and the qualities contrary to those mentioned by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So we definitely want to give up all those things, and no doubt all the 4 regulative principles we need to follow, and have a firm conviction that only Krishna can protect oneself. This is aspect number 3. So unfortunately, a lot of people don't, I should not say a lot, some people don't have this conviction, even in the devotee circle. That faith is still not become solidified. So although they sometimes follow some of these things, they may be chanting, they may be attending classes and hearing Prabhupada's lectures, but that's still that firm conviction is not there. They're hanging on to other forms of protection. That's not aspect of surrender. And also we should understand that although Krishna is protecting me, it is not a license for me to not carry out my responsibilities. But we carry out our duties and responsibilities knowing that everything and everybody actually belongs to Krishna. Like my husband belongs to Krishna, my children belong to Krishna, my wife belongs to Krishna, my parents, my brothers, my sisters, and my this and my that, everything, my house, my car, my phone, my table, my everything, my body, my mind, everything belongs to Krishna. And I do only what is prescribed to me for the period that I am put in charge for these people, so-called in charge. Actually, Krishna is protecting. So I just take care of them, but the actual protector is Krishna. And I am only, carrying out my duties and responsibilities in relation to these people, in relation to these things, with the intention of pleasing Krishna as a way of serving Krishna. This is my service I am doing to Krishna. But the actual protector is Krishna. And not only he is the protector, number 4 is always accept Krishna as one's maintainer. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. He's saying that I'm going to preserve what you have and bring you what you don't have. So there's absolutely no worry. Always accept Krishna as one's maintainer. Not your job, not your money, not your people, no nothing, not even your own body. And number 5, always be conscious that one is not independent in fulfilling desires. Always remind ourselves and be completely convinced that we are dependent on the Supreme Lord. Even to lift one's hand, even to speak something. Just because I desire to speak doesn't mean I'm the one speaking. It's Krishna who is enabling. I'm dependent on Krishna for so many things, for everything actually. But to be conscious of that, to be first conscious and then be Krishna conscious. And number 6, another aspect of surrender. Always humbly think of oneself as the most fallen so that Krishna will take care. So this humility aspect is not should be fake or false humility. It is real humility, and real humility is achieved when we have proper understanding of us, of Krishna, and our relationship with Krishna. If we have a true proper understanding that I'm so tiny, insignificant jiva, but significant in the sense that Krishna misses even me because I am part and parcel of Krishna. So I'm very, very small living entity, part and parcel of Krishna, and I made a really, really stupid mistake. But thank God, by the mercy of my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, I understand my mistake now. And let me rectify that and re-establish that lost connection, yoga. So truly understand things as they are. That's humility. And also when we offer everything to Krishna, all that we have, and offering, surrendering to Krishna is not just a one-time thing. It is something we do every moment. Otherwise, every moment, usually we are living in regret. Why? Because constantly we are thinking, I need to be someplace else with someone else doing something else. We are not satisfied with where we are, with who we are, with what we are doing right now. That means we are questioning Krishna's plans for us. The thinking, Krishna, you should have put me somewhere else with somebody else doing something else. This is not where I need to be. Or we are thinking, I need to make this better, whatever I am doing. Of course, as a way of growing oneself, that's fine. But if we are constantly bogged down by trying to change things and, always wanting to be something else, be someplace else, we are usually going to end up with regret. That means we are not in tune with what life has to offer us. We are not going with the flow. We are not going with Krishna's plan. We are constantly trying to adjust based on our plan. But my dear devotees, we need to understand that we see our present and plan for our future. But Krishna, he sees our future and plans our present. And the future that he is seeing for you and me is that he wants to have us back home, back to Godhead. So Krishna's protection towards us doesn't always mean I get what I want, when I want, how I want. It doesn't mean that. But for that ultimate future destination of ours to go back home, back to Godhead, Krishna is planning our present, and that present, Krishna may protect me in any which way that he wants. He may put me in any circumstance that he wants. He can make me succeed or he may make me fail. But in whatever form Krishna's protection comes, I accept it knowing that Krishna knows best. Just like a child trusts its parents. Sometimes the parents are giving it nice food on the table, but other times when the child is sick, they may take the child to the doctor and give the child an injection. But the child accepts both because knows the parents just doing, in the best interest of the child. So similarly, Krishna also, sometimes he may give us what we want, sometimes he may hold back what we want, sometimes he may not at all give what we want. Because ultimately, he is focusing on our future. And he has our best interest in heart. He is our suprat. He is our shelter. Even when ordinary parents, ordinary, in relationships, even some company where we have a professional interaction, even a company will take care of the employee in a pretty decent way, like giving some salary, giving them a cubicle, giving them a laptop and whatever additional stationery, and giving them even 2 weeks of vacation and some bonus and this and that. So if an ordinary company can give you that much for caring for you because you have given your services to them, now what to speak of Krishna, who is our supreme spiritual father? When we surrender to him completely, just imagine what he is going to give us. Like he's already said that he is going to give his everything to us. So we should have that complete conviction. And again, be very conscious that protection of Krishna doesn't necessarily mean that Krishna should serve me and Krishna should carry out my order and supply to me what I need, when I need, how I need. Krishna's protection means he can do whatever he wants to do with my life. I am Krishna's. He can do whatever he wants. Whether he gives, whether he takes away, whatever it is, it's his supreme will. So not living with regret, always trying to shift things, change things, trying to have something else, but living in gratitude and going with the flow, whatever Krishna wants. And of course, we will try to make things better and get better, but that is in a way of pleasing Krishna, not to adjust things for my own sake. So very, very important to know about surrender. So 18.66. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. So it's a very, very wonderful shloka. In fact, Bhagavad Gita starts with don't worry and ends with don't worry. So the moment Krishna assumed the role of Guru for Arjuna in 2.11, he says, Ashotyan. Yeah, what is that? Ashotyan Shocha. Oh, sorry, I'm having a brain freeze. Let me just look it up properly. It's there right on my tongue, but not coming, but doesn't matter. I'm just going to open the book right here. Yeah. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ashotyananvashojastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasuna gatasumscha nanushochandi panditaha. So here also Krishna is telling Arjuna that you're lamenting for that which you're not supposed to lament. That means don't worry. A Pandita does not worry. So it starts with don't worry and ends in 18.6. Mashuchaha, don't worry, because it is Krishna who is making this promise and he's never ever going to break the promise. Okay, and this is the only relationship that's not going to end in pain. It's going to end in complete bliss, and it's not just ending, but it's going to be an ongoing thing. And Anandamudi Vardhanam, it's not only going to give us bliss, but that bliss is going to go on increasing and increasing and increasing, ever increasing. So I hope and wish that all of us sign this deal right now, today, this very moment actually. This is the best deal ever. And the only thing we can offer Krishna is our free will. Because Krishna is not holding a gun to Arjuna's head and saying, you must surrender. No. He wants us to surrender out of love, not by force. And love cannot be forced. So Krishna is not going to force any of us to surrender. It is something that we have to do it voluntarily and we have to do happily and we have to offer everything with love for the Supreme Lord. And my friends, when we sign the deal and keep up our side of the deal that we do that we completely surrender ourselves to the Lord, and the Lord is going to reciprocate right away and He is going to give His everything. He is going to take charge of us and He is going to completely protect us and fulfill all our needs forever completely. So I'm definitely signing this deal right away. I'm sure you do too. You are too. So thank you very much for joining today. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat section. It's exactly 7 p.m. Perfect timing by Krishna's mercy. But I will be available next few minutes if there are any questions and to just read the comments. But meanwhile, if you have not already subscribed to Aradhana Online YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so. So hit that subscribe button. There's also a bell icon. So hit that so you get notification of all our scheduled classes, whether they are live or recorded videos. So you don't miss out on growing through Gita week after week. And these classes happen every Saturday from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Indian time. Please do join us week after week and also spread the word and bring your family and friends and whoever else you know. Okay. And if you haven't already liked today's session, if you feel like you got a good amount of understanding when it comes about surrender, why, how, and aspects like that, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button there, the like button, and show us some love so it can encourage other people also to watch it when it's going to be recorded and staying on YouTube channel, on Aradhana Online YouTube channel. Okay, so thank you for very much for joining us this evening. And anybody who has joined newly, I saw some new names like Sonia Rajpalji, Hare Krishna. First time I'm seeing your name here. So anybody who has joined newly, I would appreciate if you can send me an email briefly introducing yourself and giving me your number if you need, so I can get back in touch with you. So I have left my email ID right here in the chat section. So please feel free to write to me and I will get back in touch. Okay. All right. Venkatrajalu Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So good to see your message. I can't wait to have you back in Japathon and see you back in Srimad Bhagavatam sessions. Thank you so much for joining today. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Gita Kulkarni ji saying my humble obeisances to you, Mataji. Back at you also, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yogita ji saying thanks, Mataji, for a wonderful session as you so nicely explained this important shloka. Thank you, Yogita ji. Saraswati Mataji, Hari Bol. Yes, Krishna has the best plan for us. Absolutely. Sonia ji, Hare Krishna. Banu Mataji saying, I completely surrender myself to Krishna. Blissful session. All glories to you, Prabhupada and Sri Krishna. Thank you, Banu ji. Very nice. Okay, so anybody, anything else? Tomorrow morning, the shloka classes are happening 9:30 to 10:30, 11 to 12, to both the batches. And then in the evening, wow session is happening for the ladies, women of wisdom. So looking forward to those. Asha ji is saying, thank you, Mataji, for such a wonderful session. Thank you, Asha ji. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Appreciate that. All right, everyone. So if there are any questions, you can always reach out to me even later. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this evening. Looking forward to having you again next Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Indian time. Until then, please be safe and be Krishna conscious. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, everyone. Take care.